In late October, Rodri was awarded the 2024 Ballon d'Or, but in what was meant to be an event of celebration turned into a controversial and dramatic moment. And that's because Vinicius Jr, undoubtedly one of the best players in the world, and the other footballer that was in the running for the Golden Ball, didn't end up winning it obviously. And because of that, he and his club Real Madrid threw a hissy fit and boycotted the event. So what exactly happened that led to this drama? And did Vinicius Jr actually deserve to win the Ballon d'Or, or was it actually Rodri? Well, let's take a look at all of that in this video. Now off the bat, I have to mention this, but in my opinion, there was no clear-cut winner for this year's Ballon d'Or, and I don't think there will ever be one ever again. The Messi Ronaldo era was just a different time. We're not past that. I even said in my other video, who deserves the 2024 Ballon d'Or, that if the Golden Ball was given to either Vinny or Rodri, I wouldn't complain and throw a fit about it, and I'm not, since one of them actually ended up winning the Ballon d'Or. Also, unlike in my previous video where I go over the advanced stats of both players, like expected goals, expected assists, high percentiles of certain categories, etc., I'm not going to do that in this video, because the truth is, those aren't really that important when it comes to seeing who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. And that's because football journalists from all over the world have the choice of who they want to win the Golden Ball, and they're not looking at advanced stats and making a decision off of that. So let's just break down the basic stats of these two players, and let's see who deserves to win the award just from that. Regarding Rodri, he played 63 games last season, and he scored 12 goals and had 14 assists as a defensive midfielder. And he also won the 2024 Euros with Spain while being named the best player of the tournament, which in my opinion was deserved. I know some football fans think differently, but for me, Rodri was clear cut above everybody. Then with Manchester City, he played a pivotal role in them winning the Premier League, the Club World Cup, where he was also named the best player of the tournament as well, and also the UEFA Super Cup, despite it being one game. Additionally for Rodri, he was so good for Man City that in any of the games that he didn't play, Man City just looked completely different. For the worse, obviously. I know a lot of people that are watching this video might not watch Man City games too often, and I can't blame you, they're pretty boring since Man City are way too dominant, but I guarantee you, if you look at a Man City game with Rodri and then one without him, you can see a difference. He's that important to the side. Additionally, Man City only lost 3 games last year in the 2023-24 Premier League campaign, and Rodri was absent for 3 of those games due to suspensions, with City losing 2-1 to Wolves and then to Arsenal 1-0 after Rodri got a red card against Nottingham Forest the game beforehand. And then City also lost to Aston Villa 1-0 later on, with Rodri being suspended for that game due to yellow card accumulation. To add on to this, I remember that there was this huge thing on social media that whenever Rodri plays for Man City, he never loses in a 90-minute game for them. And this was true for the most part of the campaign. In fact, the only 2 games that Man City lost the entire season that Rodri played in was the Champions League quarterfinal clash against Real Madrid, in which City lost on penalties after 120 minutes, and then somehow Ten Hag's Manchester United were able to defeat Man City in the FA Cup final 2-1. And this is a game that Rodri started. Yeah, I don't know how Ten Hag was able to overcome this Rodri undefeated curse, because well, Ten Hag's trash. He even got sacked from Manchester United. But regardless, Ten Hag did the job. And because of that, that is the only 90-minute game that Rodri lost in the entire last season. That's crazy. And this just shows how important he was to Man City. And like I said for Spain, he was a vice captain for the national team side that went on to win the Euros undefeated. And he was the defensive mid that made sure Spain didn't concede a single goal in the group stages. And he even scored the goal that started the comeback against Georgia in the round 16 as well. So believe it or not, Real Madrid fans or Vinicius fans, Rodri had a very good case for him to being a Ballon d'Or winner. And him actually winning it isn't some sort of robbery. But before I give my own opinions about this entire Ballon d'Or 2024 shenanigans, it's only right that I also gas up Vinicius too and share my points on how he also could have been a Ballon d'Or winner this year. And no, I'm not some Vinicius Jr hater, bro. This dude got me a million views on YouTube. I could genuinely never hate him. But yeah, I have to mention this part, so let's do it. Anyways, Vinicius played 49 games in the 23-24 campaign, which was less than Rodri, but that's because Vinny was out for a couple of months due to injury. But regardless, in those 49 games, Vinny got himself 26 goals and 11 assists, which is impressive, don't get me wrong. However, the most important part in my opinion for Vinny's case to win the Ballon d'Or is big game moments. Because for Real Madrid, it's safe to say that he's the star man when it comes to these big moments. For example, in the Champions League, which is Real Madrid's bread and butter, Vinicius was outstanding. And despite missing 3 of those games due to injury, he still got a total of 11 goal contributions in 10 games, 6 goals and 5 assists to be exact. That means in Europe's most elite competition, Vinicius had more goal contributions than games played. That's very impressive and this should not be taken lightly. Not only that, Vinny performed in the biggest moments, aka the knockout stages. Because in the round 16 tie against RB Leipzig, he scored a goal that helped his club advance 2-1 on aggregate. Then in the quarters, he got 2 assists in the first leg that eventually played a role in Real Madrid advancing on penalties. Then away from home against Bayern Munich in the first leg of the semi-finals, Vinicius scored both of Real Madrid's goals as they came away with the point from Germany. And then even though he didn't rack up any goal contributions in the second leg, if you remember, he tormented Joshua Kimmich all game. It put him on skates almost every single time they came across each other. And eventually, this would weaken Bayern's mentality and defense, which led them to concede 2 goals late in the game to miss out on the Champions League final. Then in the final, Vinny scored the second and final goal against Borussia Dortmund to secure that 2-0 win and help Real Madrid win their 15th Champions League title, their second in 3 years, and the second final that Vinny has scored in, the first one being against my precious Liverpool in 2022. Vinny, you broke my heart that day for real. But overall, as we can see, both Rodri and Vinny had strong cases for them to be the Ballon d'Or winner this year. So what were the potential reasons on why Rodri edged it, and what actually happened with this entire Real Madrid meltdown on the day of the ceremony? Now for me, I think there are 2 main reasons on why Rodri won the Ballon d'Or over Vinicius Jr. And the first one is recency bias, aka international football. Now both of these footballers enjoyed incredible club campaigns, as I already mentioned, but over the summer, both of them competed in international tournaments, with Rodri playing for Spain at the Euros, in which they won, as I already said, while Vinicius played for Brazil at the Copa America. Now I already talked about Rodri in Spain, but I didn't mention Vinicius in Brazil not even once. Why is that? Well, the answer is very simple. Vinicius Jr. absolutely stinks for the Brazilian national team. Throughout his entire Brazil career, he has not been good whatsoever for his country. And in a total of 35 games so far, he's only scored 5 goals. That means he only scores 1 goal every 7 games for his country. A country who breeds and loves football, by the way, and is notoriously known as one of the best countries in football. They have 5 World Cups after all, but this year's Ballon d'Or is only accounting for the 23-24 season, so let's only criticize that. Now Vinicius has only scored 2 goals for Brazil within this campaign, and those 2 goals came in the Copa America group stages against Paraguay, one of the worst sides in South America at that time. Not only that, one of those goals for Vinny was so lucky, like he literally got the ball basically kicked into him for the goal. But a goal is a goal, so fair enough. He's got 2 in the Copa America, so what happened after? Well, that was Brazil's only win, and Vinicius ended up getting suspended for the quarterfinal clash against Uruguay, where Brazil went out sad and lost on pens. Yeah, a shame, but I'm not finished.
I'm not finished.
Vinicius Jr. has also played for Brazil in the World Cup qualifiers for 2026. So how has he done? Well, all he's gotten so far is 1 assist, and that was in the 2-1 loss away to Colombia. That's it. That's all of Vinny's contributions so far for Brazil this past year. In fact, outside of the Copa America, Vinny's last goal for his country was in the June 2023 friendly against Senegal, where they won 4-1. That isn't even in this season's time frame, bruh. Now, when these football journalists who are elected to vote for the Ballon d'Or, which is a whole different topic that I'm going to touch on real soon, they were chosen to make their votes after the 23-24 season was wrapped up. And what's going to be the thing that's most fresh on their minds after the season? Yeah, the most recent thing, the international tournaments, where Rodri won and Vinicius didn't show up. And that's recency bias, ladies and gentlemen. We're all human beings, it happens to everybody. So that's reason number 1 on why I think Rodri was chosen over Vinicius for the 2024 Golden Ball. Now what was reason number 2? Well, in the official guidelines for voting on who wins the Ballon d'Or, you vote based on 3 things. 1, the individual performances and decisive and impressive character, in which both Rodri and Vinny have. They're both great players who show up for the big occasions. 2, team performances and achievements. These 2 players are star players for arguably the 2 greatest sides currently in the sport, Man City and Real Madrid, so check that off as well. Then there's a 3rd criteria that's very interesting, and that's class and fair play. Now listen, I just have to get this out here. I personally don't like this 3rd guideline. Like, who cares? Seriously, who cares? We're not in some elementary school classroom where we all have to respect each other and be kind. No, this is the highest level of the sport. Whether you're liked or disliked shouldn't be having too much of an effect on awards, because after all, it's about how good you are. But I didn't make up these guidelines, so don't blame me. And also, this guideline right here is the reason why I think Vinicius could have lost the Ballon d'Or. Thing is, Vinicius isn't really liked universally by all football fans. Some people really don't like this guy. I mean, like, literally hate him. He dives, he sometimes has unnecessary moments of rage, and there are times where he just acts like a complete dick on the pitch, like trolling Kimmich by continuously dropping the ball when given to him. He acts like a piece of shit sometimes, you have to admit it. Now, I don't personally mind seeing these sort of things, as long as it doesn't happen to my club, Liverpool. So Vinny, don't get any ideas. You already tormented me enough, bruh. But overall, Vinny is known for being a controversial and hated player, and this huge criteria in the voting rules would definitely sway the votes towards Rodri. Now, Rodri isn't some saint, don't get me wrong, but he's not getting as much attention for his devious acts compared to Vinny. So Vinny not performing for Brazil and being hated by a plethora of fans out there are my 2 biggest reasons on why I think Rodri won the 2024 Ballon d'Or. But okay, now you must be thinking, why was there so much drama surrounding this 2024 Ballon d'Or on the day of? And why did Vinny and the rest of Real Madrid not show up to Paris for the ceremony despite their team, their coach Ancelotti, and some of their players like Kylian Mbappe picking up awards? Well, let's take a look at that as well. Now, the Ballon d'Or was done a little differently this year. Usually, sometime before the ceremony, the players themselves would know who would win the Ballon d'Or, since they would be told the outcome as France Football, the publication that leads this event, would film interviews with them before the event. Meaning they would have to know the outcome of whether they won or not to film these interviews. And obviously with that, someone was going to leak the winner. And reliable journalists would pick up the story and leak it to the world. Like Forito Romano, for example. I personally don't like it when he starts leaking awards and stuff. Like, bro, just let us find out normally. But that's a different topic for a different day. This year though was done differently, with France Football making the point across that nobody will find out the winner of the Golden Ball before the event, and there will be no interviews happening before either. Meaning for once, we might know the winner of the Golden Ball at the ceremony itself. But even with this new change, a ton of reliable publications and journalists, like Fabrizio Romano as one of the many examples, I'm just using him since everybody knows who he is, kept making the point that Vinicius Jr was gonna win the Ballon d'Or, and him and his team already knew that, despite France Football urging that no players will be informed that they'd be winning or not. So naturally, football fans like myself thought for weeks, or maybe even months, that Vinicius Jr was gonna win the 2024 Ballon d'Or. He thought so too apparently, with him allegedly having a party the night before, celebrating and potentially winning the Golden Ball, despite being part of that 4-0 Barcelona thrashing, and him promising his teammates or friends all Rolex watches when he wins. But despite all the publications, journalists, Real Madrid, and Vinny thinking he won the Ballon d'Or, something crazy happened 5 hours before the event, and it came from Fabrizio Romano, who tweeted out that Vinicius was informed that he will not be winning the Ballon d'Or this year, and not a single Real Madrid representative would show up to Paris for the ceremony as a boycott. Now, how did Fabrizio find this information out, even though France Football said that nobody was going to find the winner out beforehand? Well, who knows? Apparently, Man City were told that Rodri would win it, and Man City for some reason told Real Madrid that, and Madrid backed out because of it. But who knows, bruh? Football's got some serious politics and hidden secrets, etc. The point is, Vinny and his club knew that he wasn't going to win, but instead of showing face and being a good sport about it, and no, also collecting the other awards that they won, like Ancelotti winning Coach of the Year, in which he shared his thanks on social media, where he thanked Vinny and Carvajal, but not Jude Bellingham. That was kind of funny. Mbappe winning the Jared Muller Striker Trophy, and Real Madrid winning the Club of the Year trophy, they still didn't show up for any of that, and they stayed back home. This is just so stupid and childish in my opinion. Seriously. Messi Ronaldo showed up every year for the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Even when they knew beforehand already that they weren't going to win it, they still showed face to congratulate the other player. Lewandowski literally showed up in 2021 for Messi when he won the Ballon d'Or, when some even argued that Lewa should have won it instead. And this was also after the fact that he got robbed of the 2020 Ballon d'Or that was for some reason cancelled because of COVID. He still showed up out of respect for his colleagues. Erling Haaland had the most insane 22-23 season ever, winning the treble for his club and breaking so many goal scoring records that I lost count. And even then, when he lost to Messi for him just winning the World Cup a year prior, Haaland still showed face, and even congratulated Messi on his Instagram story. But Vinicius and the rest of Real Madrid couldn't show up because he didn't win the Ballon d'Or this time? Come on, man. And no, there is not some agenda against Real Madrid, dude. They won so many awards at this ceremony that I think they didn't deserve. The Club of the Year should have gone to Bayer Leverkusen, and the Coach of the Year should have gone to Xabi Alonso. They went undefeated. They deserved it. And yet, even though Real Madrid got blessed with some prestigious achievements, they didn't show up because Vinny didn't win the Golden Ball? Not only that, the Ballon d'Or is voted on by 100 journalists from each country around the world, which I personally think is pretty stupid, by the way. It should be the players from the top leagues around the world voting on who they think should win the award, kind of like the PFA Players Player of the Year. But that's a different topic. Regardless, with a huge guideline being a class act, you think that these journalists are not going to remember this tomfoolery from Vinny's camp when it comes to voting next year? I don't know if Vinny's camp thought this through or not, but Rodri can barely even walk right now. He's not even playing again this season, meaning he's definitely not going to win the 2025 Ballon d'Or. Meaning Vinicius has a clear run at that Golden Ball, and all he has to do is perform slightly better statistically or just get the same stats, do a little better for Brazil, that's all I'm asking, and improve from his dark arts acting, at least a little bit. And he would probably have the 2025 Ballon d'Or secured. Instead, he just spat on the faces of those who run this event, and the journalists are definitely going to remember this. Trust me. Now, I don't want to blame Vinicius too much here. He's a human being, and out of being furious and feeling led on, he was upset and just didn't want to show up. Look, it happens, but if someone just talked him through, or if Real Madrid decided to show up, Vinny would actually probably have a really good chance at winning the next one. And Real Madrid don't have to paint themselves as victims. Like, bruh, you're Real Madrid. You're not being wronged here. The world isn't against you. Relax. I know, I did see some people claiming that Vinicius didn't win the Ballon d'Or because of racism. Look, calling a whole institution or a bunch of journalists racist is a crazy, crazy take. And simply, in my opinion, just wrong. Well, apart from that one journalist from El Salvador, because how Vinicius didn't make his top 10 list is crazy. Someone needs to take a closer look at that. I'm joking. Unless? Anyways, yeah, the racism part for me is just kind of wrong. And I like Vinny's mentality towards it all, with him tweeting out that he'll work 10 times harder to make sure that there's no second thoughts next year. But overall, this meltdown from Real Madrid was just so dumb, man. So dumb. And even though I'm a Liverpool fan, as you can probably see, and the fact that Real Madrid have caused me an unreal amount of pain these past few years, I don't hate the club. I don't hate the institution. I actually like a lot of their players, and I respect Florentino Perez. Yeah, he's a dickhead, but he is the reason Madrid is as successful as they are, and you just gotta respect that. But overall, this was the wrong move by Florentino Perez. And after I laid out the facts for y'all, I'm sure you can see why Rodri can be seen as the deserved winner for the Ballon d'Or. I probably would have voted for Vinny or Rodri, but regardless, like I said in my last video about the Ballon d'Or, as long as one of these two wins it, I'm not going to complain, and one of them did. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this one. It was more of a rant than anything, but to be honest, I wanted to take a few days break after dropping an hour-long World Cup qualifier review for October, but after all this Ballon d'Or drama, I had to come out of hiding and make this banger for y'all. But regardless, if you enjoyed this one, please remember to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, follow my Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and join the Discord server. All the links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to learn about everything that happened in the October World Cup qualifying window, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.